Hello, welcome. Thank you for coming to our webinar with Doc Sites and Kayvon Mott. We're going to talk about 7 marketing ideas to get your practice schedule full at your pediatric dental practice tonight. I've got a few tips. Kayvon's got a few tips. We're going to go back and forth and partner with this. And if you're unable to attend the full thing, this will be recorded for your viewing pleasure at your leisure. So if you miss out on something, don't worry. We'll have this up on the website in a few weeks here to give you your credit and also educate you. So thank you, Kayvon. Kayvon's from DocSites. Been working with him for a while, and thank you, Kayvon, for coming on tonight.
Yeah, my pleasure, Jared. I'm really excited because when you and I were talking, we were saying, what can we put together where a pedo practice can implement next week? That's going to help get their schedules full. So this is the first time we're presenting something like this, and I think it's going to be great. So if you're out there, take some notes, apply some of these things, and then if you have any questions, just put it in the chat or let us know towards the end, and we're happy to answer them because we want you to take this and apply this for your practice.
Absolutely, Kevin. So when Kevin reached out to me, I was actually in the process of firing my marketing company, and it had gone 6 months and then we had one phone call because I wasn't monitoring it. And I used to do all this at my office back in the day when I started it up, and we just took it all back in house. It's more work right now for me, but I want to make that easier for you. And then also, if you have someone, you need to know what the value is that they're providing to you because it's not just a set it and forget it mentality. It's got to be something you monitor over time and something that you're going to be happy with. So I'm going to kick this off. I'm going to turn my video off. I am in a new house and my internet up here is not that great. So I'm going to turn the video off. Just don't have too much getting interrupted on the audio tonight. And I apologize for that because who doesn't like being on camera? So we'll start off. I don't have anything to disclose. I'm not making any money tonight off this. I'm just doing this out of the pure joy. I love speaking to you. I hope you all had a great annual session at the APD. And if you didn't, you should attend next year in Las Vegas where I did my residency. But before we talk about marketing, we got to talk about who we're marketing to because there's so much noise right now out there, and you need to understand where your people are or the people you don't want to be selling to an 80-year-old grandma. And if you let Facebook AI Advantage do that, maybe she has grandkids or something, but you probably want to dial in a little bit on your demographics, your buyer personas. So I can't cover marketing without going over your buyer persona and the buyer's journey. And for me, I look at it as like if I have something wrong at the house or maybe something wrong I need to fix, the first thing I'm going to do is Google it or YouTube it or go to AI and figure that out. And that's really the top-down effect you need to have at your office. You need to be, that's the lowest hanging fruit. Because if you're the number one dentist on a mom that wants a white crown or a zirconia crown, or a mom that wants a holistic dentist, or a mom that wants a minimally invasive dentist that does SDF, that's what she's going to Google first. And that's the awareness stage. And Kayvon, I don't know about this. I don't know how you feel about this, but I got like a big heartbreak when like TikTok went down and Chat GPT went down. And it was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. I mean, CapCut, not Chat GPT. It was like a big, like, oh my gosh, you don't own social media. You own nothing you put on Facebook, nothing you
True.
put on Instagram, and nothing you put on TikTok. You don't own that. They own that. And the government shut down TikTok. So if you were like a big TikToker, you just lost everything. You own your website and you own your email list. So that's why you need to invest in your website and invest in building your email list. But you can use the other ones to get the investment in that, but you have to work at it. So these are the stages. Your website is open 100% of the time, 99 point whatever they say. I don't know what Kayvon's rate is, but mine's 90 something percent. And your business hours 8 to 5. Unless you have an AI virtual assistant and someone calls, they're not going to be able to book an appointment unless you have online scheduling. And your website and social media are available 24/7. Most of my traffic to my website is when I'm not open. So I'm missing opportunity. And what are these moms going to Google? They're going to Google the pain problem before they come to see you. And that's a great opportunity to market at your office. You also have the consideration stage and then finally decision stage. Let's walk through this today and also understand that you have to, if you're a holistic dentist, you're probably not looking for the same patient that I'm looking for. You want to create an identity, how people recognize you. Kayvon talks a lot about trust and credibility, and you want your advertising and marketing to match up with the philosophy that you have at the office. And I think it's important that you don't have to be the dentist for everyone and what type of patient you're trying to recruit and who, who's going to come to your office based on. And it goes all the way from your logo, the values you have. I mean, we just had a patient today that was struggling, and I said, well, that didn't go so well. Here are other options. This is what I'd recommend. And they went with it. So I'm sorry, my internet's going on. I got a connection unstable. The emotions that they feel, and then the mission statement, you want to have that. And really need to define who you are. Like, what's the history? Like, has your practice been there for 40, 50 years and you bought it and you've just been solid rock in your town? That's a big benefit. What unique benefits or products or services do you offer? Do you do frenectomies? Are you doing airway dentistry? Are you doing Invisalign? Are you doing white zirconia crowns? Are you doing minimally invasive dentistry? Those are all niches that you can market your practice to based on what you have available. And you need to use social media in your website to do that. What materials
Absolutely. And Jared, I actually just wanted to add one thing to this, which I think is really relevant. If you're out there and you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm not really sure exactly how I'm different, or you want some help, go to your Google reviews. And if you go to your own Google reviews for your practice, you can see the top keywords that basically moms and dads are using to write about your practice. So if you see that and you see the word, maybe they use the word gentle a lot, or friendly or warm, you're hearing it from customers that that's what they value because those are the words they're using in their reviews. So if you're wondering, how you can define that or put it in a sentence, that's a great way to look at it.
That's a wonderful tip, and we're going to cover a little bit on that, on how to use that. So I love your foresight, and you haven't seen my presentation, so
Uh-huh.
I love that you're chiming in and giving that tip. And then also like Kevin just said, what unique experience does my brand offer? And it's like we just had a mom text my wife, who's my office manager, about like the experience that we created for her. She didn't think her 4-year-old would be able to get through these fillings. And it went awesome. And my wife got a text about, hey, we appreciate you, your assistance. It was just a great experience. And like tie into those things and looking when you get a good review, what did we do that day that we can offer people and highlight that? I met Kathy Jameson. We've been using Jameson Management for a while. Great company. If you need anyone to kind of put the fire out. They put our fire out. Um, Kathy gave me this exercise. Like this is something you can do with your team. You can write down all the values individually in a team meeting that are important to practice. You break it down, and then you come together and you cross out words that don't match. And eventually, you'll continue doing this exercise with the words that you have, and you'll find out 2 to 5 words that your team values. And you can incorporate this into a mission statement, and this can give you ideas for you to go back and market yourself. You have such a value that you provide to these kids. If you don't know words, here's a bunch of words. I love Brene Brown, Dare to Lead, great book, but she's got this on her website. You can go download this. These are her values. Canva also has some that you can use and also take emotions too. I would do this for values and emotions at your office. I mean, it can give you a foundation to drive your marketing for. And these are just some questions for discussion that I would highlight that you should be asking yourself at your practice to market yourself because you have a unique position and and you can do things that a GP can't do. I had a referral today and it was for a crown that ground through and it just needed to have the crown shaved down. And I told my wife today when I got home, I said, why didn't they just do that for the kid? And it was because of behavior. But we got through it today. It took us probably 30 minutes to get the kid to do it, but we did it. And that is a value. We can now go back and maybe talk about how we can work with the kid to give a positive experience. And that's how we can do it. And we do it for kids. We need to really highlight that we are specialists. I think we don't always get the credit we deserve as a pediatric provider. It can be a challenging thing to just, we do everything GPs do, but we do it for kids. And I mean, our kids see a pediatrician, so I see value in that. And that's really something you want to highlight that you can be the one-stop shop. You're not going to have one visit and then get referred somewhere else. And this is tip number one, Kayvon. Identify your ideal customer to generate content. We can generate content for our practice. But
Right.
if you're not generating content that resonates with the person you're trying to provide it to, it doesn't go anywhere. Like I said earlier, I can generate content for a lady that wants dentures, but that doesn't serve me in a pediatric practice. You need to define who your customer is, and then now you can create the message that you want to create for your patients, and that will generate then the patient calling you. And you got to do this at all the stages I talked about. It's not about getting them to call your office. It's about generating the content when they are not really aware that they want to call you. It's going up in the funnel, and that's where the lower risk. The highest paid dollar that you're going to spend on Google Ads is for pediatric dentist near me or kids dentist near me. That's not what they're going to Google first. They're going to Google the problem, like the leaky faucet. So identify your buyer persona and then design the communication and content to maximize the impact you can make and make your message relatable. I think one of the biggest things that we've done on Facebook and Instagram now is I deliver a pain point, and if that's not their pain point, they're not going to continue watching the video. So the AI will pick up now who's watching the video. And I want to work you through that. This is just like an example of a buyer persona, a mom with an infant, maybe getting the first tooth, maybe wondering who should I go see for my kid's dentist. Maybe she already Googled you, but you should identify the background, demographics, what they do, and then what questions they're asking. Because maybe you don't want to be identifying a patient in a demographic, like let's say you're a fee-for-service office. Maybe you don't want to be marketing to the Medicaid patient, and that's okay. Or maybe you are a Medicaid office and you want to identify their pain points and get more of them. And you need to define why they're going to visit you. And this is just an example. So she's a digital marketing analysis, age 32, and we have her income. So maybe she is working at an agency or she has private insurance like Delta Dental that you take or another company that you're working with. And maybe you want to target that group of people. These are some examples of positioning factors. And like, you got to really get this down. This is like what you do every day. What do you enjoy doing? And these are some examples of positioning factors. But what makes a factor? Like, I've got all these listed here on the screen. Maybe you're a boutique office. Maybe you have additional training in frenectomies or zirconia or SDF, and maybe you do that. But like, what makes a factor? It's like, is everybody doing that? And that's like, so what? Like, Dr. Jared can paint SDF on teeth, and everyone else in the town is doing that. Like, that's maybe not an impact. But what's a right-on factor? Like something that separates you apart. Find that and market to that factor. I mean, we have just an example of this is at my office, we had a family travel 3 hours for a Hall crown. We had a family travel 3 hours for a zirconia crown on a posterior tooth because they wanted it white. Those are right on factors. So the more we can tack into what our patients are getting from us, and like Kayvon said, look at your Google reviews. That can be a factor. Like a membership in a professional organization, like that's kind of like a so what. Anybody can be a member. But what are some positioning factors? If you're board certified, highlight that. If you're doing an event at the library, at the local YMCA, highlight that. If you're teaching or having a student come into your office, highlight that. If you've got privileges at a local hospital or surgery center, highlight that. If you're speaking like I am, get that out there so you know that that is a right on factor. And you can list these factors and like what's the advantage to Molly, our mom? Like board certified pediatric dentist, that shows credibility. What's the benefit? She can trust you with her care. You know, like that you've gone through the test. That's a vigorous test to be able to do that. And when she's having that kid with the toothache at 2 in the morning, she's know when she calls now that she has the problem. She's gone through the all the other stuff on the Google, looked you up. Now in the awareness phase, she can make the call and have confidence that you're going to be able to be the one that will take care of her child. And I also consider uh, what led to this situation. So all these factors, how are they seeing things? What do they feel? These are all things that can help you with your marketing. Thinking here, just go through all the senses and you can kind of figure out now based on that where they are. So in the awareness stage, great way to hit people, consideration phase, and then the decision phase, it gets more expensive the farther you go down the funnel. So the lowest hanging fruit is the top of the funnel for you to do your marketing. I think my number one blog post on my website, it's like if you Google it, I think I come in the stack, which is no longer the stack that AI gives you. It's the stack Google gives you. And if you Google are jagged teeth normal in kids, I'm like number one, and they pull AI off my website. So just an example of how you can use your blog to increase your patient flow. And these are just some questions that are in the awareness phase that you could use. And I would honestly like just sit down at your office and write down questions your patients ask you during the day. And those are great keywords for your blog post, which I think Kayvon might talk about a little bit earlier.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be touching on that, and I think it's spot on because you got to think people are searching for those questions. So if you have them and then you add your city, which I'll talk about later on, it's a great opportunity to show up and be visible.
And then in the consideration phase, they're gonna like I mean, Caven Guy made this great video, and they're gonna Google Jared Johnson, and I gotta make some changes, but they're gonna look at your reviews. I'm sure Caven will talk a little bit about that. But they're also gonna question our baby teeth worth it and all that. So they want to know all these questions in consideration page, and then you're gonna move out like down. It's like now you're like down to the dollar. What's it gonna cost? Do you take my insurance? And those are the later things they're gonna ask. And these all things are things you need to consider when you're planning an Instagram post, planning something, planning a blog post. And it's so easy to dominate your market when you are tackling this from all three of these: awareness, consideration, and decision. And Kayvon mentioned keywords. He had some great tips for me, but a keyword's like just something you're going to search for. So just type into Google something you want to search for in dentistry, and it'll start to populate it based on AI. And it may be like jagged teeth, like I mentioned earlier. It might be shark tooth, and those are shark tooth. And you can have a blog post on shark teeth or ectopic eruption, which as we know it, and that could be a reason someone finds you. So these are just some ways to get it. I like to use one of the most easiest ways. I don't think that's going to show. One of the easiest ways I know is answer the public. You can type that in, but also your website's important. It's not just social media because you can use your blog post. If you get a blog post written from a company, you can turn that into at least probably 3 or 4 tips that you can post on social media if you're paying someone. And your blog post are your most valuable asset. Like I said, your website, your blog post, turn those into content. You're already paying someone to write a blog post, maybe 1 or 2 a month is what I'd recommend. Maybe Kayvon recommends more or less, but I'd write 1 or 2 and write for these keywords. Just write down the question the mom asks, and then now you can turn that into a vlog or
Oh, I just want to
patients
share
are
with you.
asking you. I'm gonna skip over these, but answer the public. If you want to know what people are searching for about a topic, you can type in answer the public. I think you get
So
3
this is a
posts, and you can turn that into vlog. And I think that's a great way to just generate authentic content, which you don't have to do any work for because they already wrote it for you. Your SEO company, your website company already wrote that for you. I'd highly recommend that you, if you're outsourcing it like I did, that you put this into verify that the information is correct and check for plagiarism. I've had 2 companies I've fired now that unfortunately copied and pasted from another pediatric dental website. Big no-no. Don't do that. And you can reuse it. Like I said, social media posts, if you want to be on LinkedIn, I love a practice newsletter. People get recalls and reminders, and sometimes that's not hitting their pain point that they're due. Sometimes you send that blog post that it's about shark teeth and their kid has the shark teeth, and now all of a sudden they call the office and they say, "Oh, I got your social media, I got the newsletter, and my kid has this problem." And you'd be surprised how many people will reactivate based on a newsletter of something. It takes probably 30 minutes for you to take your 3 blog posts from the last quarter to put them into an email, and it's not sales, it's information, and if it hits them, they will open that app, and they will schedule with you. You don't want to be salesy on it. Took a course and recommended that you're 80% fun and 20% sales. So do fun stuff and then give information, but then don't be out there just promoting. Percent of the time do that, but most of the time, I'll tell you that a lot of times I'm at a gas station, I'm in the grocery store, and they comment, they're like, "Oh, I just saw you online." And I'm not selling stuff. I'm just out there providing information and education based on the blog post, having fun with our team, and that goes a long way. These are some of the types of posts you can have. You can have an organic post where it's like you and the patient, or just something you took a picture of. You can recurate content from the APD. The foundation has a great website for this. If you want to post that, you can recreate that. Interactive posts are great. And then I'd encourage you to interact with your patients. Get them to respond to you or give feedback, comment, and you got to make a schedule. This is so hard. We are usually a month and a half in advance. We have a meeting every second Tuesday of the month, and we build a calendar for the next month of what we want to do. And you don't have to do that post, film that post that day. You can do this when you have like a change in your schedule. You can go ahead and get your team together and film the post and get that together and schedule it. You don't have to do it that day. And just don't be like I was. I got behind on this and um, I took this back in, I think, February this year, and we went from 20 new patients a month to now to 40. So you got to work on it, but you can't be sleeping on it. You got to work on it. Your phone's a great way to do it. We have an Osmo anymore. I don't use that anymore. You're gonna have to get a tripod and a selfie stick. So these are just some options for you, but you're gonna have to have your iWatch and your tripod to be able to film some of this stuff. It's pretty neat what you can do when your team puts their mind to it. Video editing, this is what I used to. I used to use iMovie and Movavi Suite. CapCut's great right now. I think it's as long as it doesn't get banned again. We'll see what happens here with the government. But CapCut's got a great software. That's what I use right now. It's about 20 bucks a month, I think. And you can find some good people on Instagram to get ideas from if you're looking for um, ideas on how to do like trending social media. it takes a little bit. You just find one of your young staff members. I've done like things where I disappear behind dropping a jacket. Just some things you wouldn't even think of that you could do with CapCut that are super simple and you can promote yourself. I'm gonna skip this. Make sure you analyze performance. I had the flop on this, and honestly, we had to make some changes at the office this year. We just weren't looking at things. We weren't getting the engagement and the clicks that we needed. So if you're paying someone to do this, make sure you're having a monthly meeting, holding them accountable. I wasn't, and unfortunately, the relationship didn't work out, and now we're back on it, and we're doing better, but it's not always something that I want to continue to do. Get your Google Analytics installed so you can track it. So you got to have a Google Analytics installed, and you also have to have a Facebook Pixel so you know where things are going. If they're visiting your website from certain sources, make sure that you're spending that the marketing is working. Because you could spend 1,500 bucks a month like I did and get one call. And that's not worth it for 6 months. That is not a good return on your investment. And this is a way you can hold your marketing company accountable is by looking at the
One
data.
thing you'll want to do on a regular basis.
Also, another way to really engage people is to do giveaways. I mean, like, people love this. We gave away this burrito, and I think it was like a few thousand people like this, and it's just like a burrito blanket for commenting on it. Kayvon said comment or like, and we'll give it away. And it's a great way to get engagement for holidays and things like that. And it's just the mom even reposted. Here you can see that's not at our office. That's the burrito blanket. She sent us the pictures and wanted us to post it. And it's a stupid blanket. Who would want that? People will go crazy if you give something away or do a contest. And we just asked what their favorite local Mexican restaurant was. And super simple. And then we'll give a random person a burrito blanket. And you might say, like, why would you do that, Dr. Jared? You're not selling burritos, but that generates interest in things in your business. Again, I talked about a Facebook Pixel. I highly recommend you find out what platform you want to be on. If you want to be on TikTok, great. If you want to be on Instagram, Facebook, it depends on your community, but really encourage you to cross-post everything because you don't know where people are going to. You have a high-performing professional that's going to find you on LinkedIn, and maybe you're going to have someone find you on TikTok that is maybe in a different demographic. So cross post and find out where you want to spend your money. I'm probably going to start up TikTok here soon. Don't like it, but I'm probably going to have to do it. Just that's the way it is. And you want to make sure you have these the F's, the friends, the family, the fun, the photos with an F, and then nowadays videos. And yeah, it's going to be fake. It's not going to be, not every patient at your office is going to probably have the 5-star experience. Like we all have those kids that it just doesn't work out, but we want to promote ourselves in a way that we're taking the best care of kids. And maybe we have one that doesn't work out. And we jump into sedation and it does work out. And we're able to provide that family with a better experience than we would have had if we didn't have that. And I wouldn't get from TikTok. They have an algorithm. They want to show people what's going to keep them on the app. The infinite scroll, they don't want people to, when someone leaves the app, they lose their sponsorship money. So you're gonna have to spend money. I spend money. And I highly recommend that you make an investment in yourself to run an effective social media campaign. And this is what I do. It's not a lot. 150, 300 bucks a month. That's not a lot. $2 to $5 a day for just awareness, and then I'll boost the remaining posts that are targeted. And they're targeted to people I know that are going to visit me. And I used to do this. I used to create buckets of people who like your page, and you can do this all you want, but I would focus on number 3 here, people who live in your area that are targeted interests, and you can get this from Google. Your Google Analytics. This is from my website. 35% of my users. You can look on Google Analytics. Like this is what they're interested in. So what am I going to put my categories in for interest for them? These categories, I don't have to do the work. And you'll see a lot of fashion, a lot of food, a lot of travel, things you have to have money for: boating, fishing, real estate, education, apparel and accessories, women's apparel. You just put all this in to your, and you're going to be able to have a better outcome without having to do the demographic research. So these are some marketing things on a budget. Canva, number one, you're going to have to use that. And I used to use some of these other things, but promo was good for me for a while. Fiverr is pretty cheap if you need to outsource something. Get a selfie stick and a tripod. You can get an Osmo if you want to go high end. And my third one I just want to highlight is just engage with local families through social media. So if they're at your office, if you get them to like your page, now you can remarket to them. You already have their email, but now you can remarket to people who like your page and their friends. So if there's someone that has a friend in your area and you can geographically tie that down to a 3 mile, 4 mile, 5 mile radius, now you're targeting that person that may have other kids. And just get photos at your office. Get a consent form for that. It can be a great practice builder. People love to see their kids online. They love to see that. And then my last tip is if you're at an event, like if you're doing anything at like we used to do the farmer's market. If you're doing anything at like a YMCA or like an event for a Halloween trick or treat, get them to fill out a form. Give away something that they want and get their email captured so now you can remarket to them. And you will have a great time being successful online. If they're going to get ready to leave your website and they're on a sedation page, have them pop up like, hey, here are 10 sedation tips for your kids. Or in my case here, here's a free checklist. 12 reasons to choose a pediatric dentist on the pediatric dentist page. So they already are Googling for that. Now when they're leaving, they get an opportunity to reconnect, get that email connection, and have your front desk follow up with them. And that can be very successful for you to capture a lead where nobody does that. Dentists aren't doing that right now. And if you're investing the time to go to an event, it's not just enough to hand out your business card. You need to be selling yourself to get that patient in the chair and get the care they need, because I think we're going to face a lot of challenges. I want to thank you all. I'm going to stop my share. Kayvon is going to be taking over here. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm Dr. Double J, is the practical pediatric dentist. I am going to be back here to give your CE credit. And I want to turn this over to Kayvon. I'm sorry I'm about 3 minutes too long, Kayvon. So I want to hear what Kayvon's got to say about your website and how you can improve your dental practice with your online presence.
Sure, that was great. A lot of good tips and actionable advice. So excited to get into this. Let me share my screen and let me know. Can you see that well?
Yep, I can see it well.
Okay, perfect. So Dr. Jared covered these first three tips, right? We talked about ideal profile of a customer, then running some paid social media ads, engaging them through real stories and comments. I want to go to tip number 4, 5, and 6, and then we'll round it off with number 7 together. So number 4, we're going to go over the Google My Business profile. This is really important for you to show up locally on Google. Secondly, we're going to talk about what you could do on your website, literally starting next week to get more visible on Google. Third, what makes a patient-focused website that actually converts, that gets moms, dads wanting to book that appointment. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how to use Facebook dental groups the right way to get more pediatric patients. So just some background on me. Kayvon Ma, I'm a co-founder of the Doc Sites. We actively work with about close to 900 practices nationwide. I have about 16 years experience marketing pediatric dental offices, so I'm excited to be here. Let's dive in. let's talk about Google My Business and how you can use it for some quick wins to get more visible to your pedo practice. So if you're not familiar with what Google My Business is, that's when someone Googles your name, your pedo practice. You know that profile on the right comes up on Google, has reviews, locations. That is your Google My Business profile. So this is one of the drivers of patients finding you online. If your profile shows up, then you are more likely to be seen if someone searches for pediatric dentist near me, kids dentist near me, vernectomies, whatever it is you want to show up for. So the most effective way to increase your Google My Business profile is simply to double your Google reviews. So that means if you have 50 reviews, put in systems, procedures, methods to get to 100 reviews. If you have 100, get to 200. You'll often see that when you're looking for a pediatric dentist near me, Google likes to show practices with a lot of reviews. So if you don't already, put in a couple strategies to get those reviews up. In addition to that, I want to give you 3 actionable tips to improve your Google My Business profile, again, that you can start taking tomorrow. So tip number 1 is to add personalized photos and videos. So a lot of parents, my business partner, he has 2 young kids, and he was telling me this. He said, I was looking for a pediatric office locally on Google, and he's like, sometimes I don't even go to the website. I just check out their reviews and I see their profile photos, and that gives me an impression of what the practice is, what I'm walking into. So you're going to want to log into your Google profile, click photos on the left column, and just add various types of photos, right? Your team, your staff, your office. The more personalized, the better. And be sure you have one with a cover photo with your logo. Tip number 2 is add specialties you offer as a product. What this does is it increases your visibility for showing up for certain things. Let's say first dental visit. We know that's a widely searched term. So if you add a product to your Google My Business profile titled first dental visit, you're increasing the probability of your profile showing up when a mom or dad is searching that. Another idea, some pedo offices offer sedation dentistry. So add a product that says sedation dentistry, right? Now you have an advantage over other practices who don't have this in their profile. So that's tip number 2. And then tip number 3 is to make weekly posts on the Google My Business profile. Now you might say, Kayvon, I don't have time to do all of this. That's fine. If you could get your team, your staff member who is has a little know-how with Google or just social media, that's all you need. You don't need to do this yourself. So again, this works just like Facebook or Instagram. If you're posting something to Facebook or Instagram, just post it here as well. You can do updates of your practice, you've been in the community, whatever it is to keep this profile active and visible. Now, if you're looking for a step-by-step checklist for Google My Business, we do have a free checklist. If you want to take advantage of that, you could text GMB, Google My Business, to this number. It's 818-489-9823. I'll send that over to you. This is my personal cell phone. You're not going to get spammed. We'll send you that checklist. So if you'd like that full checklist, just text that number or take a screenshot. So we've talked about the Google profile. You're going to increase your reviews. You're going to update that profile. Now we're going to talk about what can you do on your website? Because your website and SEO are being found on Google. Think of them like they're different sides of the same coin. Some people think, well, website is just one thing and SEO marketing is another thing. But again, they are very interrelated. So in this next section, we're going to talk about best practices that you can implement on your website, whether you're doing it or honestly, most likely a marketing company is doing it. And probably, listen, I know you're not going to be doing it, but what I think is really important is if you take this next section and compare it to what you have and say, Am I paying a marketing company for Google or SEO? Are they doing some of these elements? And then you can decide what to do next. So, and anyone remember this growing up? Where's Waldo, right? Sometimes being found on Google feels like that. Like, where is your pediatric practice? I'm looking, where can I find you? So the truth is, you're either increasing your online presence or you're losing it to those who are. And in my opinion, you want to be increasing it. And these are some ways you can do exactly that with your Google profile on your website. So if you've heard of the term SEO or search engine optimization, that's essentially helping you show up if someone goes on Google, and it's not necessarily the ads that say sponsored. They're just what's referred to as organic results, or SEO is what generates them. So here's tip number one, mistake number one that you do not want to make. Having all of your treatments on one page is a big mistake. So if your website has that, that's a big mistake. What you want to do instead is each of your services that you offer should have their own pages. Why is that? Put yourself in the shoes of a mom, right? Let's say if I'm looking for a kid's dentist, but I know my kid needs to go to sleep, right? She's anxious. I will likely search for a kid's sedation dentist. So if you don't have a page on your website that is optimized for that, you don't have a high likelihood of showing up. Let's take another example. Let's say, I'm at that stage where I want to do a first dental visit. Again, I might search pediatric dentist, but I might search child's first dental visit. I want to know when I should bring them in, what's normal, what's not. To Jared's point, the parents are kind of looking for information. So again, if your website is optimized for child's first dental visit, you have a higher chance. Frenectomies, right? Someone's going to search for frenectomies. I think you get the point. When you have everything on one page, that's a big disadvantage. So you want to make sure that not only do you have a page for each of your services, but you want to make sure that it's focused, mentioning the city that you serve. So this is a good example. You want it to have words like kids dental emergency if you offer that, and your city. So they're in the city of Mooresville in North Carolina. Why that's important is, think of how a mom searches for a pedo office, or really anyone searches for a dental office. They put the words near me, right? Kids dentist near me, pediatric dentist near me. So you want to make sure those service pages are optimized with your city. They're personalized. They talk about benefits. That's going to build you a strong foundation on your website. Another way to build visibility on your website is by adding blogs. And what that is just a way of keeping things updated. The best analogy I always give to someone is, think of your website and online presence as a relationship. What happens when you give a relationship water and sunshine? It grows, right? But if you get a relationship and you kind of stick it in a garage, or it never gets paid attention to, your website gets never updated, what happens? It's going to wither away. So the blog becomes a great way where marketing companies or yourself can add content so things are not stale on there. Now let's get into what is a good use of a blog and a bad use of a blog that is effective for helping you get more patients from Google. So here's an example of a bad blog. Ineffective would be how swimming affects your oral health. Here's a good example of a good blog. Pediatric dentist for anxious kids near me. So the reason why the first one is bad or ineffective is because a mom will never search that when they're looking for a pedo. They're going to use words that you and I would search for, right? So make sure your marketing company is writing blogs and optimizing for things that a patient would actually look for. Another example, if your marketing company is writing blogs that say Happy Cupcake Day, that is a waste of time, money, and effort. It might be cute, but it's not helping you get found on Google if that's your goal. Instead, You want to write blogs and keywords, again, things like emergency pediatric dentist near me, mention your city. These are going to give you a higher likelihood of being found. Sometimes I get the question, does blogging actually even work to help me show up on Google? So I had recently searched kids sedation dentistry near me. Now you can see the Google Maps profile towards the top, right? Some people having good reviews. But if you go down, the first organic result, SEO result, is actually a blog that was made years ago, right? And this goes and it's titled Pediatric Conscious Oral Sedation. So yes, the answer is yes. This happens in small cities. This happens in big cities like Los Angeles. You can use blogging to your advantage to get more visibility, and you should use it. So before we get to the website, again, just to summarize what we've seen, there's three main areas that you want to focus on the actual website itself. Number one, make sure that the service pages are optimized and they have their own pages. Number two, make sure that blogging is being done. A lot of practices don't even have blogging. And number three, make sure that the topics are relevant to help you get found. So now we're going to talk about and shift gears. Okay, you're getting more visibility to your practice website. How can you build a patient-focused website that converts? Now I'm going to give you some great tips, do's and don'ts. You don't necessarily have to create a brand new website. If you're looking for one, again, we can help. There's a lot of good companies out there, but these are actionable things that you can literally implement into your current practice website. So what's the one thing that in business and in life we only have one chance at? You only get one shot at your what? Your first impression, right? We only get one chance. So the question is, what is the first impression your practice website is giving? Does it really represent your practice, your caliber of skills, who you want to be? I personally believe that your website is not a cost. It's your first impression online for people to see, hey, who am I bringing my kid to see? And actually, 76% of prospective patients will do their research before they come to a provider's website. So that means 3 out of 4 people, they're looking at their website to gauge, should I go to this practice or not? And that's for people who come from a list or fee for service. They're still looking to see who you are because, again, they have so many options. Myth or fact? You need an expensive, gorgeous website and attract quality patients to your practice. Well, that's a myth. You don't need to spend an arm and a leg. But the truth is this. You do need to have a website that's going to pull patients into your practice and not someone else's. So now we're going to go over the 5 biggest website mistakes that are causing you to lose new parents online and what to do about it. Website mistake number 1 is hiding contact information. So if you look on the example on the left, this is a mobile version of a website. And what you'll notice is nowhere is there a click to call icon or a phone number or even a request an appointment button. More and more people are using their phone. If not, I would say 90% of people are using their phone to make appointments. You don't want to make it hard for them. You want to make it easy for them. So don't hide your contact information. Check out your website on the mobile version and make sure, is there a click to call? Is there a request an appointment? Or is it hidden from plain sight? So that's mistake number 1. Website mistake number 2 that's costing you new patients is not showcasing your reviews. I see this over and over again. People on the website and they want to get a sense of who you are. There is nothing more compelling, in my opinion, or powerful than social proof or seeing other people's reviews. If people come and they see photos of you with kids and they see great review after great review after great review, guess what? That mom or dad is going to start to feel pretty comfortable to pick up the phone and make an appointment. So make sure if you have good reviews, they're really being showcased on your website And I highly recommend you showcase those on your website's homepage. That is the single most visited page on the website. Website mistake number 3 is not having personalized photos. So you can see in this example, huge difference. You have a lot of text, right? And I'm looking at it and my eyes go to the photos on the left. Whereas on the right, I really get a sense of what I'm walking into. I'm like, wow, that looks really nice. The doctor looks friendly. Oh, there's balloons in the background. It turns out they make kids balloon in the waiting room, right? So your website can really be a reflection, like Dr. Jared said, of some of the things that makes your practice unique. And I think one of the cool, fun things about being a pediatric practice is you do have things like this, whether it's your waiting rooms or games or whatever makes your practice fun and unique. I think a big mistake is not showing enough of those on the homepage of the website so that moms and dads can kind of get a sense of what they're bringing their kids into. Website mistake number 4 is having an outdated Meet the Doctor page. Other than the homepage, the single most visited page typically on a pedo site is the About page. Why is that? Well, I want to know who's working on my kid, who's working on my son, my daughter, right? So what I recommend is use this page to have a really nice professional photo done. Mention your association. So you might be a member of the, Academy of Pediatric Dentistry. You might have some accreditations or certifications. The more you can show credibility and trust, the better, because moms are looking at this page. They want to see who you are. Website mistake number 5 is not having an office tour. So you want to include an office tour because, again, this goes back to, that mom or dad kind of sticking their head to look at your practice. And if you have something that looks nice, presentable, clean, they're going to relate to that. So make sure that you have an office tour so parents can kind of get a sense of what they're walking into. They're going to feel more confident about picking up the phone and making an appointment if they have a sense of what they're walking into. So make sure you do have an office tour. And then lastly, bonus tip is I would recommend having online scheduling. It makes it really easy. Like Jared said, a lot of maybe moms, dads making appointments after hours. So if you have this, I think that's a big, big bonus. Lastly, I would just say use imagery and words, for patients, not for doctors, right? A mom might not understand what what a laser dentist is, but if you say virtually pain-free dentistry, no shots, anesthesia, faster treatment, a mom understands those benefits. So again, use benefits that a mom or a parent patient would understand. And remember, your website's job is not just to give information, but it's there to build trust with patients. And these are some great ways that you can do exactly that. Lastly, I want to mention this important message. One of the single biggest mistakes that I see pedos make when it comes to their online marketing success is they have a set it and forget it mentality. Jared alluded to this earlier. I get it. I'm a business owner. I do this, right? My own marketing gets put on the back burner. But really, you want to be proactive. Let's say you yourself go and see a dentist for yourself. You go and see a dentist. That dentist is not going to put on the gloves and start working. They're first going to do a diagnosis of, okay, let me see your teeth. Let me see what's going on. Because inaccurate diagnosis is the cornerstone of a successful treatment, in my opinion. So if you're looking to say, what's the diagnosis of my website or online presence, that's something you haven't done in a while, I'm happy to offer a 30-minute live Zoom assessment of your online practice. This is something I do personally one-on-one. If you'd like to take advantage of that, again, you could text me or use this QR code. This is something that's done, again, one-on-one for your practice. And so we take some of these lessons and we look at them and we give you some feedback of how you can specifically improve. So if you're interested, feel free to take a screenshot or reach out. Lastly, and Jared, feel free to chime in here, want to talk about using Facebook groups the right way. So if you're not familiar with what Facebook groups are, they're basically local communities online that parents and community members trust. And they go in there seeking recommendations. So the benefit of it is they're organic, community driven, and oftentimes free way for you to get your word out about your practice, and it really builds social proof very fast. So if you've never kind of seen how Facebook groups work, I'll just give you an overview so you can try it yourself, or you can have your team member try it as well. You basically go to Facebook in the search bar, and then you put in your city and something like moms, parents, or community, right? So I put in like Woodland Hills moms, and this came up, Woodland Hills community, and this is you filter it by the group to see that. Once you're in the group, you can search in the group, and I'd recommend you search the word like dentist or kids dentist or pediatric dentist. You're going to get a sense of what people are talking about. So this example on the right, someone actually says, hey, I'm looking to find a really good dentist for kids, right? And then another for adults. Any recommendations? 14 comments come in. So one person says, Dr. So-and-so is amazing. Another person says, Dr. So-and-so is amazing. So your opportunity here is really to go in there, have a team member see what people are saying, and check these groups weekly, right? Again, you might not have time, but you can assign a team member. And when it's relevant, people are asking, you can politely mention your practice and maybe share a link to your website or your Google reviews. Hi, we're here in the community. We have great Google reviews. If you'd like to reach out, we're accepting new patients. And just be helpful and offer to answer any parents' tips or anything like that. Jared, I don't know if you have any insight to share.
Yeah, I would not, if you're a dentist, I would recommend you designate someone. It it's a great opportunity. I agree, Kayvon. And I would highly recommend you have someone look into it at your office.
Yeah.
But you, it's like Google reviews. You're gonna have people that don't like you. That's gonna happen anywhere. And there'll be some of that on these groups, and I wouldn't take it personal, but you can get a lot of recommendations. We've been highly recommended some of the groups, and I would say, Kayvon, at my office, we're probably like 90% recommended, but I don't want to see the 10% as a dentist that you're not. So have someone else do it. Don't do it as yourself
Yeah.
because mentally it will challenge you, but
Yeah.
you're going to probably get a lot more recommendations than negative ones. And I'd love to hear what people are thinking tonight on questions. And I mean, a lot of what you talked about back and forth and the blogs and everything, it's kind of it just makes sense to me, Kayvon.
Yeah, it works. If you do the work, it really does work. And if anyone wants to reach out, and wants some website or marketing help, and I'll just get to it. We're here, we're available. Like I said, we can do a complimentary assessment of what you have going on with your pedo practice. If you're interested in upgrading your website or marketing, we do have a special offer for those people interested. Again, you can reach out to me personally or use this link here. And if we have any questions now or ones that have come before, I'd love to help and see how we can support the community some more.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. If anyone has any questions, I don't see anything in the chat. Let me switch back so I can get the CE stuff done.
Yeah.
I think here it is. So this is your code for the AGD credit. I will email you guys certificates hopefully tomorrow, but if not, within a week. CE4DK35 is our course completion code, and we will get those back out to you.